to talk about something that I brought up 2020. So a couple years ago, I did a video on this of a thing I ran across about states, a number of states saying how they're going to implement taxing Social Security benefits. I say that lightly because it's not a benefit. Social Security is something they've stolen from you, taken from you, whatever, and will give you a portion of that back as they see fit, when they see fit, if they see fit. So, with that being said, now it's 2022, that just got implemented for a number of states. I'm going to go over that just to let people know that it's happening. So if you are retired, you're disabled, whatever, you're collecting disability for whatever reason, they're actually paying you funds back that they took from you, that this will affect you one way or another. If you make a high amount of income or you're falling at this factor versus this factor, then you're going to be taxed. And hands down, it's going to affect everyone. Like I said, whether you are barely living off of it, I don't think that really matters to them or anyone that says they care and they're in power and they have a D or an R behind their name or an I for independent, whatever. So I'm just saying that's happening now. It started 2022. And that is on top of the Social Security tax that was taken, that started, I think it was 89 when they got implemented, signed in office. So these funds that they take out of your check, you have to be a part of it. You have to, be included and have funds taken from your check for Social Security. And then if you qualify for it later on in life, if you happen to still be alive, if all these factors matter, then you'll get some of that back, is how it's done. So with that, federal, since 89, I believe it was, like I said, has been taxing that since 89. So you're paying a federal tax on your Social Security income. And yes, it varies for how much household income you have and how much wealth, worth, whatever you want to say. That matters and it fluctuates, but still, they have a federal tax on that. Now, if you live in one of these states, they also have a state tax on that same Social Security benefit, if you want to call it that. So I'm just going to go over that, just list some of these states, list all the states that have this. And then I'll list a few other things, just go over some stuff to make people aware of what's going on if you don't know. And just think about where you live in, and is this the best place for you? Do you want to do something else to have a little more money in your back pocket, a better place to live for yourself and your family, whatever. I'm not trying to change minds. I'm not saying what to do. I'm just trying to get stuff out there and have people react, whatever. So the states that are now collecting taxes on Social Security along with, on top of federal income tax or federal Social Security tax are Colorado, Connecticut, Minnesota, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, New Mexico, North Dakota, Rhode Island, Utah, and Vermont. Now, there's West Virginia in there too, but West Virginia a few years ago had this. They had been doing this. Now, they've been slowly tapering off of it. So, starting in 2023, next year, they will no longer have a state tax for Social Security, state Social Security tax. So they will be off of this docket. So the remaining ones that I named are going to be taxing your Social Security benefits on top of the federal tax that's already there and whatever else that the state's going to pile on top of you with, sales tax and property taxes and all this kind of stuff, the whole realm. So I'm just going to go over a few things, like I said. So I could go over the whole list of states that don't tax for Social Security, but that's a lot longer list still. So hopefully you live in one of those. I'll go over that list again, the ones that do tax Social Security starting this year, 2022. Colorado, Connecticut, Kansas, Missouri, Minnesota, Montana, Nebraska, New Mexico, North Dakota, Rhode Island, Utah, and Vermont. And then, like I said, West Virginia is tapering off after this year. So that's that. So do what you need to do for that, or don't, that kind of stuff. I'm just trying to make people aware. On top of that, I just want to go over, there's also states that do not have an income tax. So those states don't have income tax. They're and I think that's great. I know people say, well, they counterbalance it by higher taxes here or higher property taxes, or they have a sort of fee system, or they have this or that, whatever. I'm just going to name these states and do with what we will. So the states that do not have property taxes, or excuse me, states that do not have income taxes are Alaska, Florida, Nevada, New Hampshire. We have, I guess New Hampshire doesn't tax earned wages, but it does tax investment earnings. And then there's South Dakota, Tennessee. As of this year, Tennessee will no longer tax investment earnings. So this year, Tennessee is no longer going to tax investment earnings, which is great. And there's Texas, Washington, and Wyoming. They don't have state income taxes. So I think that's a good thing to think about and look into too, if that fits your desires. So now on top of that, there are states that recognize gold and silver coins as legal tender. So that means you gotta go along with businesses if you're going to participate in that or not. But I think it's a good option, absolutely. Especially it's available for businesses and customers, consumers, you and I, to say, hey, I don't want to hold on to this fiat currency longer than I have to, more than I have to. I hold on to it to pay my property taxes. I hold on to it to pay X, Y, Z, whatever's only accepting this kind of stuff. But if I can, I'd rather store my wealth in silver, gold, and then I can go barter and buy with that in these states. And I know it's early, but just my hunch, my gut tells me this might ended up being a huge thing once this dollar continues to crash. After inflation keeps going higher and higher, and we see no light in this tunnel, because that will happen. That's just my opinion. But these states that recognize gold and silver as legal tender: Colorado, Missouri, Oklahoma, Utah, Arizona, Wyoming, Texas, Kansas, Louisiana, Indiana, Tennessee, West Virginia, and South Carolina. So I'm not saying this to veer anyone or make anyone decide something or tell you to do something. I'm just getting this stuff out there because I know, like I said, on that Social Security thing a couple years ago, I did a little video on it saying, hey, they're talking about this and it's going to be implemented. They're going to kick this in a couple years from now. Well, it's now. It's active now of this year, 2022. So those states that are listed are now taxing Social Security on top of the federal taxing that's happening on Social Security. And then, like I said, there's a few states, well, not a few states, there's several states that do not have income taxes. So that's an option too. And then, like I said, I just said at the end there's states that are recognizing gold and silver as legal tender. And I think that's becoming more and more over the last 10 years or so. I believe more and more have jumped aboard. There was less than there is now of that. And I think that's a good sign. I absolutely do. I have nothing more for this video other than just awareness and get people thinking and saying, hey, maybe I want to do something, maybe I don't, maybe I want to tell somebody about this, whatever. So as always, I thank you for watching. If you like this, hit the like, share, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And stay vigilant. Protect yourself, protect your family, protect your health, protect your